Tell me a story. Just make it one that I want to hear. Who hasn't heard a child say, "Tell me a story"? But have you ever heard one add to that request? Of course, I want it to be totally fact-based and verifiable. Children just love stories, fact or fiction, and the child in all of us feels exactly the same way. When you acquire a book, you expect it to be either fiction or nonfiction, and those designations are judgment-free. If the boundaries between those two categories are fuzzy at times, this too is not unexpected, and generally not really a problem. In the world of science, expectations of published material are higher. But even here, we realize that facts are relative and influenced by both the state of knowledge at the time and the biases or predispositions of researchers. The same could be said of any author, whether they are portraying supposed facts or pure fiction. The passage of time alone can render previous assertions less credible, or at times even ridiculous. While we accept this sort of thing as we go about our daily business, truth or falsehood in politics and government is another matter altogether. When we soften the rules of what we accept in this realm, chaos can quickly follow. Here, the truth simply must be held to a higher standard, however that is specified. This would include rules and regulations set up to enforce certain standards, with consequences for violators. Yes, there would have to be allowances for limits of knowledge, differing opinions, and the like, but all of this can still be within the confines of reasonable ranges. The point is to draw a hard line between how people might entertain themselves through stories and the potentially dire consequences of disseminating and acting upon falsified information. We can also recognize that we sometimes want to gravitate towards stories that we just want to hear, with little regard as to their truthfulness or even debatability. Again, in the political governmental realms, this can have disastrous consequences, but also in society generally. Like, if we can't get a grip on some form of shared reality, not much else is actually going to work out in our lives. In this sense, ignorance can be either a defect of reasoning or just a natural outcome of living in a complicated, imperfect world. It can be a deliberate act, that is, by choosing to accept certain things and rejecting others, based on purposefully adopting a very incomplete or just fluid picture of what could possibly constitute fact or fiction. As we have said elsewhere, people who are already insecure, who wouldn't be at least a little bit these days, are tempted to double down on a belief that may be uniquely their own or their in-group's, as a last-ditch attempt to stay strong about something. Most of us are actually somewhere on the spectrum of allowing ourselves to be living under some sort of compromise with the truth. This is hardly surprising, as the truth is an elusive commodity, even under ideal conditions of access to information. What's in it for me? The only solution to this is just to work a little harder to get at the actual facts, and let that be your source of strength. We all love stories, and even the fables can be entertaining and instructive. But when they drive politics, just beware.